All right, here we go. Back at it. So today we're going to be working on some transitions and then hopefully start working on the boss area biome in that room. Now, the game is transitioning to the new map after you hit a certain score. I was testing something, so it's currently set to 10,000, but I'll bring that down for testing purposes. There's I don't want to do this. I kind of want to give it a little bit of time before like so things aren't instant. I was looking at like a fade in and fade out tutorial. Maybe that's what I can do for now. Or I could have a transition room, you know, kind of like this blank room that I have, you know, my credits scroll. Go in there and it's just like, depending on which room I came from, it'll go to the next room. It'll like display like some text or something. But what I really want is that when I start the game, I'm gonna move my viewport down. To 720. Nope, that's not the one. I didn't want that. I didn't want that anyway. I want to always start in the center, or yeah, in the center of the map. But what I want is a transition to where it starts off with the ship flying, and then it gives you a moment, and then everything starts. Thoughts on that? We could have an object that then creates all the other objects. So I know a lot of the objects require, you know, the player existing before it does anything. This game really, I don't think so. This does. It needs object game. I mean, do I need this with game? I'm trying something and I could just do object initial game dot shaky false. Try something. so. I don't die this time. That needs, I still gotta work on that. I need to write that down. It's not really doing what I wanted to do. Okay. I don't need this with. Just take that out. An object game. It bug. It creates the globals. That's fine. The one thing is that the camera definitely calls for the player, but parallax you can do is have the I could have the game in there. My pause I need, and I have it persist, that's fine, just so the game can be paused. Area spawning. Areas. Nothing calls area spawning. Area spawning is just like something that can be created as well for each room. Or it's just, you know, not just initially be created in this room. So, those are that. What I can do is I can have the kind of like how I do with my main menu. It draws. This new update doesn't like my double clicks as much. It's doing this. Draw where it then iterates up, and what I can have it do is can kind of move the ship along to the position I want, and then when the ship gets there, deactivate that or destroy that and have it create the rest of the game. Let's see. Let us see. We'll call this we're definitely gonna have like a draw event, and then do I need a step event? Yes. I don't know actually if I'll need a this object. Just me. Like I could have it be the ship. I need to, you know, draw self. On like the destroy, it's gonna be like, you know, instance underscore create. I don't want depths later. I don't at x y instances. Object underscore game. Oh, actually, this will be at like n. Then at say same height, but at 20, with the object underscore x1, and then x y. We do object underscore player. This will happen when it destroys. We just need it to. Well, something has to create it, or it could always just be there at the start of each room. This is the unfold. Oh yeah, it's doing some math. All I want it to do I don't think I need to do something that hard. Like I have this, I can have it just y, like let's do speed equals n, and then alarm 0 equals 120. We may not even need this. Alarm 0 will be, you know, alright, let's see if things break. What I'll just do this. Ooh, yeah. I want the spawning to be created as well. I don't know about pausing. Let's see if the game breaks. Oh, I didn't do that. Oops. Yeah, so it was working. But I think I need to have this get created first. So when it creates this, it then can't find that. Okay, so it's step 0 for object parallax room target index not set before read, but it should be. Ooh, I might need to have these now be create event, like for the order of operations. Let's do that. Comment this out for now. Alright, I'm doing it right. Yeah. We're gonna be doing some instance underscore exists. We'll just do all of these. And yeah, the clouds are changing direction, so also playing two things in the song, but that's fine. You know what? Yeah, right, I don't have him set there. One thing though, to make it maybe transition a bit better. It's kind of got that. Have this. I could have him slowing down. Right. Let's go here. We have friction code. Do this. Oh. Look point. We'll start with that. Okay, that's better. We'll have this slow down. Maybe just go tad less. The other thing is, what we could do is creation code for the room. Yes. Mm. Yeah, but for some reason Oh, I need to do, what's 1080 divided by 2? Because I went way too far down. That works. I can just delete this. Like this. I'm just gonna leave those there just in case. That should be working, which is cool. The only thing is kind of a bit of a fade out and fade in type of thing. But I'll be right back because I have to use the restroom. Okay. No way, please. Okay. I don't need that anymore.
Alright guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you one of, if not the simplest method of creating a very simple fade to black transition between two rooms in your game. So we have room 1 here and room 2. They're just empty rooms with different colours so we can tell what room we're in at any given time. And we're just going to make an object that allows us to fade the screen to black and then fade that black back in on the next room. So I'm going to go to objects, I'm going to create an object, it's going to be obj_fade. This object's going to be very straightforward really. In the create event, as usual, we're just going to establish a couple of simple variables. A is going to equal 0, A is going to be alpha, so that's going to be the amount of transparency of any, so I'm going to go to objects and what room we're in at any given time. A very simple fade to black transition between two rooms in your game. So we have room 1 here and room 2. They're just empty rooms with different colours so we can tell what room we're in at any given time. And we're just going to make an object that allows us to fade the screen to black and then fade that black back in on the next room. So I'm going to go to objects, I'm going to create an object, it's going to be obj_fade. Now this object's going to be very straightforward really. In the create event, as usual, we're just going to establish a couple of simple variables. A is going to equal 0, A is going to be alpha. So I'm going to go to objects, I'm going to create an object, it's going to be obj_fade. Now this object's going to be very straightforward.
Guess here.
Really, in the create event, as usual, we're just going to establish a couple of simple variables. A is going to equal 0, A is going to be alpha, so that's going to be the amount of transparency of any, I should explain. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a big black rectangle over the screen, and we're going to draw a varying transparency. At the start, it's going to draw it at 0 transparency or 0 alpha, so we're setting this number to 0. that number is going to make its way to 1, and then when it's 1, it means we're drawing a solid black rectangle over the screen, and that's when we transfer from one room to the next, and then we simply make the control whether or not we're fading in or fading out at any given time. Go ahead and save that. The other thing you want to do while you're in here is go ahead and tick this persistent box to make sure that this object carries over from one room to the next, because it's going to be fading us out in your game that we just set up in the create event, and we're going to vary it between 0 and 1, and vary it. Useful to remember the draw event also kind of works a little bit like the step event in that it happens every single frame of your game, and is the event in which we do any kind of drawing actions or code. So in here, first of all, what we want to do is vary that A variable that we just set up in the create event, and we're going to vary it between 0 and 1, depending on how transparent the black rectangle is that we're adding and subtracting from A, but we want to make sure it doesn't go over 1 and it doesn't go under 0. So I'm going to take, first of all, the value is going to be simply A plus fade multiplied by 0.05. So that there is us adding fade, which will either be 1 times 0.05 or minus 1 times 0.05. And we're taking that and we're adding that to our alpha. So that's our alpha increasing, because A is going to equal this value. But it's going to equal that value clamped between a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 1. So that there is like the easiest way to create a variable that moves between two different values. At the moment it only moves in one direction because fade is 1, so we're adding 1 times 0.05 to A every single time this line is run, so we're just increasing A by 0.05 every frame at the moment. Then what we want to do is I'm going to say room go to next, which won't destroy this object because this object is persistent.
Order am I? Is the order gonna? Would this be the order here? I don't know.
And then I'm going to set fade to equal -1. Now the fact that I've set fade to equal -1 means that when it comes back round to running this line again, instead of adding 0.5 to A every single time, it's adding -1 times 0.05, so minus 0.05 every single frame. But again, keeping it between a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 1. Then all we need to do is check to see whether or not we're back to 0, A equals 0, but we have to remember that we start at 0, so we need to check that we're at 0 and fade is -1, which means we're fading back in. fade equals -1. Instance destroy, and just kill off. It's fade object because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so now what our object does is it has this variable called a, which starts at 0, it climbs slowly to 1, and then when it hits 1, we go to the next room and we set this variable to -1, meaning draw set alpha to equal a, alpha being the transparency at any given time of our draw tool. And by setting it to a, we're setting it to whatever this variable currently is. Then draw rectangle. Now I'm just going to space out the different parts of this bracketed section over the next few lines to make it a bit easier to read. And I'm just going to refer to the different coordinates of our camera or our view. I could just put like 0 as like the x and 0 as the y, and then the room size as like the width, and room height as the height, and so on. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to use the view, because whatever our viewport is, that's exactly what we need to fade out, and that'll work in more games than just this one. So view x view to get the x coordinate of our current camera, and then view underscore y view 0 to get the y coordinate of our current camera.
Okay, so he's working this. Okay, no. The camera.
View x view 0 to get the x coordinate of the camera, plus view width view w view, which will get the width of our current camera, which means, you know, we take like our x coordinate, we add the width of the camera, which gives us the right hand side of the camera. Then view y view 0 plus view h view 0. So take the y coordinate of the camera again.
Whoops. Oh, darn.
In case draw set alpha back to 1 in case you need that for drawing anything else in your room, which we probably do. We don't technically need that here, but you might need it in your own game. So that's that, and that will draw that properly. The only other thing in your room, which we probably do, but this time add the height of the camera to give us the bottom coordinate of the camera. And then whether or not the rectangle is an outline, which it isn't, so 0. and that's the rectangle. The only other thing you would want to do here is, of course, set draw set alpha back to 1 in case you need that for drawing anything else in your room, which we probably do. We don't technically need that here, but you might need it in your own game. So that's that, and that will draw that properly. The only other thing I would do is go into depth here and set depth to be a large negative number. So I'd set this to -9999, for example, and just make sure that that is higher, rather, make sure the depth is more negative than any objects in your room that you want the fade to draw on top of. Otherwise, the fade will draw underneath them. So now if I go into room 1 here and I just plonk object fade in the middle of the room and just run the game, you should see very simply it fades to black and then fades in on the next room. Just like that. I'll run it again because it's kind of fast. And you can see that's working. So view room height opaque, you can see it, it's solid black box. To make sure that this object carries over from one room to the next because it's alpha, so we're setting this number to 0. Forward really in the create event, as usual, we're just going to establish a couple of simple variables. Fades to black and then fades in on the probably, and that will mean, for example, that you want the very simply plonk object fade in the middle of the room and just run the game.
Okay. So for instance, if I go to main menu and or I'm testing shit. We'll see. If I do like instead instance underscore create depth, this will be, width. for now, I'm just gonna have it underscore go to underscore space